Okay guys, so before I discuss our next topic, I want to ask you one question. Have you ever heard about this magic pipe? So magic pipe is being used to directly discharge bilge water overboard. Bilge water means dirty water. It may be gray water or sometimes an oily water. Of course, it is strictly prohibited. So what they have done is they installed an oily water separator on board. Oily water separator, as the word implies, it separates water from oil. This oily water separator that they've installed on board ships, it has a great purpose. So its purpose is to save the environment, the living species in the ocean, and of course to save our lives, human lives. How can we survive without the fish that we eat, without the air that we breathe, the oxygen that we get from the ocean? The world government implemented some regulations about discharging of water overboard. So later on, we will going to inspect the internal parts of oily water separator, and of course I will going to discuss how does this oily water separator works. Okay, so we will be having a voiceover during my discussion because I am sure that you will not be happy on the sound of the main engine crawling in your ears. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more videos. Let's go. Okay guys, so initially we need to drain the oily water separator system. We need to remove the water that remains inside before we open up the covers and conduct an inspection. Okay, so after we confirm that the first chamber water is already drained, we can now open the top cover of the first chamber, and always use a crane on lifting this one, for it is a little bit heavy, in order to avoid injury. So this first chamber is the gravity separation chamber, and after we lift up the top cover, we can now see the first coalizer, and we can now remove the first coalizer for cleaning. So after removing the first coalizer, we can now also remove the supporting plate. So after confirming that the second and third chamber water has already been drained, we already opened up the covers, and as you can see guys, these are the filters or the second and third coalizer inside the second and third chamber. So as you may notice, it's a little bit dirty, a little bit dark, for it is where the separation takes place. So the dark portion on the second chamber are the oily substances that were left behind by the bilge water, and the red portion in the third chamber are the substances that were left behind by the cleaning water while the oily water separator is at rest. So the removal procedure of these four coalizers or filters are just the same for all of them. We need first to remove the lock nut, and then the tightening nut, in order to remove the filters from inside. course, never forget to put markings on them in order to avoid confusion. As you may notice, the coalescer's outer layer has already been filled up. So we need to report this situation to the company in order for them to arrange new spares to be supplied on board. This portion over here is the SS filter. So this SS filter removes the tiny particles that the bilge water carries in order to purify the water to be discharged overboard. So after removing the coalescers, we soak it first in fresh water with soap in order for the cleaning to be more effective. So aside from cleaning the coalescers in the oily water separator, we also need to clean the Y filters attached in the line to 15 ppm sensor. So it is being done in order for us to avoid clogging and ineffectivity of the 15 ppm sensor. And we also need to check the condition of the support, and as you may notice, it is already corroded, so this matter will also be reported to the company. The United States imposed $5,000 penalty for the violators, and of course you will be also charged. That will take at about $200,000 for the cleaning process that will be done, and worst case, the captain and the chief engineer of the vessel will be imprisoned. So after cleaning the chamber's internal parts, we will now conduct an inspection, and as you may notice, some parts are also corroded. So later on we will apply a coating on them in order for the chamber body to avoid deterioration. So how does this oily water separator works? This is the inlet pipe, so it goes in here, but make sure to open this valve before operating it. Then goes in that portion, and then goes in here. So this portion is the heating line. Heating is being used if you assume that the bilge water is filled with fuel oil or other oil substances, but as much as possible, we have to make sure to pump out a dirty water without an oil for a smooth operation. This one is the oil probe. It measures the specific inductivity of the substance or materials being measured, and this part in here is made of electrode. So we also need to clean this part in order for the sensor to become more effective. So how does this oil probe works? Of course, once an oil is detected, the oil will flow in the pot in here. Then the motor will open the valve, this motor, and then the oil will pass through this pipe going to the waste oil tank. Aside from that, an alarm also will be sounded, indicating that the oily water separator oil content is high. So if all goes well and no oil has been detected, the water will pass through the first coalizer, the one that we removed, and then passes through these two holes for the second process in the second chamber. So this is the second chamber. As you can remember, there were two coalizers in here that we removed, and the water passes through the two coalizers. Filtration is being made also, then passes through this port in here, going to the SS filter. So going to this line, then as you can see the curve structured material in there. There's the port where the water comes in, then it goes up, then passes through the SS filter. The SS filters are the two long filters that we removed, as you can remember. Then the water moves out, going in this line, entering the third chamber. So as you can remember also, there were two coalizers in here that we removed, and filtration is being done also in this area. So as the water goes in this chamber, we can confirm that the water is already purified and ready to be pumped out overboard. So the water will enter this portion, this port in here. This is the entrance of the outlet pipe. Then outside is the outlet pipe. So this is the outlet pipe. I will show you the line. So this portion in here is the outlet strainer. So you need to rotate this T handle in order for us to achieve good filtration in this part, and to avoid high discharge pressure. So this part in here is an air operated valve controlled by the 15 ppm sensor. So once the 15 ppm sensor detected an oil passing through the sensor or the pipe, of course it will change over the valve using an air, then returns back the water with oil to the bilge tank. Then if all goes well, of course the valve will be kept open overboard, and the water passes through here and then going to the overboard valve. So as you may see, there's a warning indicating do not open without chief engineer permission. Of course, the chief engineer is the one in charge of this operation, so he must know that we are conducting an overboard discharge of bilge water. And as you may notice, there's a chain in here with a lock, and the key is in the possession of our chief engineer. So he is the only one who can unlock this valve. Okay guys, so always inform the chief engineer, even you are the officer in charge, usually the first engineer or the second engineer is the one in charge on this operation. We must always inform the chief engineer, for he is the overall in charge of the operation of the vessel. So before we install back all the coalescers, we also need to check first the pressure gauges if they are still okay or not. If we found out that they are not operational anymore, we need to replace them with a new one. So sometimes coast guards and other inspectors are asking for a water sample from our oily water separator. So this portion in here is where we get the samples. So how does the 15 ppm sensor works? So the 15 ppm sensor is monitoring the water from the outlet of the oily water separator being discharged overboard. So the water passes through the pipe, a small pipe over here. So once it detected 15 parts per million of oil content in the water, it will automatically triggers an alarm, and of course it will change over the valve, and instead of going overboard, the water with oil will return to bilge tank. Okay guys, so let me stress it out a little. I will show you how does this 15 ppm monitor works by simulation. Now that I am done on explaining to you some important aspects that are needed to be known, I will now going to show you our procedure on how to clean the coalescers that we remove. And as you may see, we used a sprayer with water and soap, and of course combined with pressurized air. And as you may see, some heavy dark portions are getting lighter. Okay, now we are done on cleaning the filters and coalescers. So we will now return them back, install them back to oil water separator. And as I always mention in my other vlogs, assembling is just the reverse of disassembling. And guys, as a gentle reminder, always consult your instruction manual for every vessels. Every ships have different kind of machineries. As an engineer, do not just focus or depend on my video presentation, because I am on board a 15 years old vessel, and your ship may have a latest version of it. Okay.